Let's see if it comes up here. Yay! It's working, I think.
Yeah.
Let me just check it real quick. All right. I just got to make sure audio's actually going through real quick. All right. Let's try this again. It sounds like the audio is not working. Man, this is fun. I don't think that live streaming is the way to do this. I do think it is. I think it's awesome. I think whenever we figure out how to make it work, but for now, so far today, it's not gone great.
Yeah, it's just not happening.
All right. Cool. I just got confirmation. It seems like it's working. So I will press the record button this time, like I forgot to do last time, and we can get on with this.
Good.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome to episode 26 of the 1023 Diesel Shop Talk podcast. We're a little late, and I have to apologize for that. We had some repetitive technical problems. So originally, we've got Mario G with us again, and originally it was going to be a video call, and we were going to chat together that way. But I had some issues, and then some more issues, and some more on my end, so that didn't end up happening. But we'll just end up doing it this way, and I think it's still going to be good regardless. So Mario, you are in the Keys right now, right?
Yep, I sure am. It was kind of a last-minute thing. A friend of mine had already rented a place down here, and he was getting ready to come down a couple days later and said, "Hey, I rented the place and just wanted certain amenities and didn't even think about it. It's got extra bedrooms. You can come down if you want." So
I'm a little jealous.
Here. Yeah, I would be too. Didn't expect it to happen, but super, super nice up here. And it's actually, all my guys are complaining back at the shop because it snowed a couple of times this week while I was down here. So
good timing.
Yeah, they're not super happy with me, but pretty happy to be able to get away just for a minute. Still kind of working from here. Most people don't even know that I'm down here.
Yeah.
But kind of keeping it together best we can with me being away for a whole week.
Well, you never take a break anyway. I mean, you're pretty much working 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day.
I really don't take too much of a break. There was a couple of weekend things that I got away for, a couple of bachelor parties, a couple of weddings over the summer. But even when I did that, even when I was up there, I was still answering phone calls and on Messenger, and still posting online and on Facebook and all that. So
Yep.
I'm pretty much available, unless I'm sleeping. That's about the only time that you can't get a hold of me.
Yeah.
Is if I'm sleeping. If I'm awake, and able to, I will talk, and I don't see that changing anytime. I like it. Uh, I like what we're talking about, so why not?
Yeah. Yeah. We, before my wife and I had kids, we used to go down to Florida quite a bit, a couple times a year. And since we've had kids, I don't think we've gone back once, but I miss it like crazy. But unlike
where would you go
you, what's that?
Where would you go in Florida?
Everywhere. We went everywhere.
Yeah,
We,
kind of jumping around.
yeah, one time it was her and her family. Actually, the time I went down, I proposed to her while we were there, kind of surprised her down there. And her family was doing just like a Florida road trip. So they were traveling all over the state. And then we kind of fell in love with it at that point, and then together just went down. And mostly, I guess we were kind of all over the place. We didn't spend a lot of time in the Keys. We only went once. But we did spend quite a bit of time outside of Tampa. What is that? I don't remember what the name of the beach is. And then we spent some time on the east side, like down below Port Canaveral too. But the Keys were pretty. It's definitely beautiful down there, and so warm.
Yeah, super. Yeah, and it's really stable temperature down here. For the most part, it was between 75 and 82, like the whole time.
Yep. Yeah, it's just perfect. It's perfect for enjoying. So
yeah, a lot of wildlife, a lot of different stuff down here. You're just driving and there's iguanas on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And, little iguanas running around, and really big fish all over the place. Just cool.
Even up by the beach?
Saw,
or are you guys going out fishing on a boat?
No, just up by the beach. We didn't go on any boats at all. We saw some, we saw a lot of things. We saw a manatee right out the back on a canal of the place we're staying. Saw a lot of jellyfish. Just all sorts of cool stuff.
That's awesome. I've only seen one manatee, but those things they're so cool. They're like one of the neatest water creatures, I think.
Yeah, super weird, super different.
And one, I guess, I don't know if it's an alligator or crocodile, I don't know what the difference is, but we saw one that was like, that thing was massive. It was like the size of a Volkswagen Bug. It's crazy.
Nice. I haven't seen one in the wild yet.
One of the times we went down, we went on like an airboat ride in the Everglades where they just like go take you to see alligators. And that was really cool. That was really cool because you go out to like their babies everywhere, and big mamas. You walk around on like this old boardwalk and there's alligators all over the place. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
But we're not here to talk about Florida. We're here to talk about 7.3s. So I've been told that I don't talk enough about big builds, and so we're going to cover that today. Mostly, I cover small stuff because that's most practical for most people, and I kind of, like I mentioned in the last podcast too, I feel like it's not talked about a lot. The consequences of going too big, and it can end up being a pretty bad choice for some people. But for some people, it's not, and a lot of people do want to make some fun horsepower with these things. So you're here to flip the coin and show us the other side. So really, what I want to dig into it. I want to dig into maybe like the choice for a couple power levels, like when you should make the choice to go for like what does it mean? What does it mean to go for 5 500 to 550 horsepower or 600 to 650 horsepower? And then what does it take to get there? And I'm sure we'll both have similar ideas, but I'm sure we'll also have different perspectives too. So
I would think so. Yeah, we're usually pretty close on it, but a couple things we like to do a little different.
Yeah. So if you've got a guy that comes to you, he's got let's say he's got a 2000, 4-door long bed. He's got 33s on it. The thing is gorgeous, and he's ready to make 500 horsepower. He wants to tow with it. Not a lot, but sometimes he wants to hook up to a trailer. He wants it to run, clean, be pretty smooth, but he wants to play with his buddies and, maybe beat a Cummins here and there, or Duramax. What does that build look like for you?
So, kind of depending on exactly where he's at and, how heavy he's going to tow. I guess off the top of my head, just hearing that, I would probably go for, I would like to go for something like 250, 200 with a 467.7, with a 110 housing. I'd really like to see dual H-pops on it. A lot of people don't like the spring for that.
Mm-hmm.
I like them a lot. I really like the way they make the truck run. Most people would rather just do a single, just cost-wise, single H-pop, but that dual H-pop really wakes it up, really makes it a nice driver, really brings that high-pressure oil up nice and quick and holds it there strong. You can really max it out. That's what I like. I really like the way 200s run. A couple of nice transmissions out there. You go Sam Weiss, go BTS. Either one of those are gold. You're going to be waiting a little bit for it either way,
mm-hmm.
Which has definitely become an issue with a lot of the builds lately, is waiting on the transmission.
Yep. So why 200% instead of 100% if your goal is around 550?
I just like the way they run. I like how hard that power comes on. I feel like if somebody's really looking for that power level and they really want to hurt some feelings, that's the way to go. It spools that 468 up real hard. Just feels good. Now, if they don't want to go dual H pops and they're not trying to push it as hard, then 250 100s will surely get it done with a single H pop, mm-hmm. and still break that 500 horsepower level without an issue. No problem doing that at all. It's just those 200% nozzles are just nasty with a 468.
Yeah. So one of the dividing lines that I've always put in place is up to around 500, a 100% nozzle in like an S366 makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And then, and you can, get over that. Sometimes you'll see 500 to, 525, maybe 550, but it depends on the truck and the dyno. Sure. But if you really want to get past that, I've always kind of thought, if you're actually going to do that build, you're going to spend the extra money on a 467 and you're going to spend the money on dual H pops. Like you might as well just go for like a 300, 200. I mean, I know it's going to cost a little bit more, but really in the grand scheme, if you're going to spend what, $15,000 anyway, what's another 800? And then you can shoot for, 600, 650 with that same setup, right?
Absolutely. But the only issue with that is a lot of people don't really want to do anything with the rods and a built bottom end, no girdle, nothing down there, and that power level starts getting into explosion time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think explosion time, like when I'm making recommendations, I'm like, explosion time is like 500. And if you want to go past that, you might as well just play because it's going to blow up anyway. At least it's not going to be my responsibility if you decide to blow it up. That's your choice.
Right.
So I don't know. I hate seeing things like that so much, and it just gets kind of sketchy. And I just think of everything more conservative, which is why we're talking to you. I don't like big builds because things always break, and then I have to fix them.
And we've been doing a ton of 205/80s with a T4 kit and an F364.5, and that's a good place to be, and it's nice and safe.
Yeah.
But safe isn't sexy. You know, riding that fine line. Yeah, riding that fine line of are you going to split your block in half is that's the fun stuff.
I don't know, man. See, this is the personal preference part. I just personally really hate my truck being broken, and so I think that probably influences my opinion way, way, way too much. I feel for everybody else pushing that line, because I've pushed that line so many times. I'm just tired of it.
Oh yeah, and I push that with everything.
Yep.
And I break all my toys. Absolutely.
Yep.
And that's where a built engine comes in. A lot of people they'll put this setup together. They'll make 550, 575, 600, 650, and it'll last for a little bit, and then it takes the engine out, and then some of them will grab another engine, another used engine, and throw it in and do it again and again, and sometimes they get tired of it and it's time for a built engine, and then they realize that you can bring that fuel in a lot harder when you've got some rods and a girdle in there.
Yeah.
And then it really starts getting fun. There's definitely a big difference in the way that the power can come on when your engine can handle it. You can bring that in a lot lower RPM, and she'll hit a lot harder, and then that truck's mean. It's one thing to make 600 horsepower with stock rods and pulling some power out to keep it together, and then when you've got a built engine and you can just really give it everything and not worry about it, and then that truck's real mean, really a lot more fun to drive.
Yeah, and even outside of being more fun to drive because it makes more power, and it can be more aggressive, like it's a lot more fun when you can count on the fact it's probably going to keep running when you're done too. Like,
absolutely,
that is a confidence booster for sure.
Absolutely, and then you're gonna do it more often, and when you're worried about getting to work the next day, a lot of the time you'll back out of what you're doing. You might not race that other truck. You might not do some donuts, some stuff like that. But when you're built, and you can go out there and abuse that truck, and you can still get to work the next day. That's where it's at.
Yeah, it's a blast. The more we talk about bigger builds, I start to miss. I miss having a truck that's actually fun to drive.
Yeah.
So 550 to 600. You're at 25200s. Ideally dual H pops. What do you like for H pops? Do you just try to get full force duals if you can, and then a Gen 3 if not?
Yeah,
or do you use T500s? What do you guys use?
Yeah, right now full force duals is the go-to.
Mm-hmm.
The Gen 3s were at a nice price point, and they just seem to be real problematic lately.
Yeah. Well, they kind of always have been.
Yeah, and they just seem, a lot of them seem to be failing.
Yeah.
And that seems to be it. So right now the best choice is the full force duals.
Yeah. Well, and being able to regulate, having dual H pops that are ideally the same, and stock, and then having two IPRs to control them, it's a way better experience than it is on either like one big single H pop or with a Gen 3. Like it's really hard to beat that.
It's going to regulate. Those dual IPRs are going to regulate so much quicker. You know, like a Gen 3, you get on the throttle real hard and then you just let out, and that single IPR just can't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
And with the dual IPRs, when you're driving a truck with the full force duals with the dual IPRs, you can't. If you're on a lower tune and you're just driving that thing around, you have no idea it's doing that. Just super smooth, no issues. It just works.
Yeah, they're so easy to tune too. They're so easy to just make mellow and enjoyable.
Yep. Yeah, no weird idles, nothing like that.
Yep. Head studs, valve springs, push rods. Where do you draw the limit, or where do you draw the line on that? Is that at 205/80s?
Yeah. So basically, the 205/80s really seem to be that sweet spot where you can get away with a stock long block and really not have to do anything else to it. It's not a bad idea to do some of those things. It's never a bad idea to throw head studs in with 205/80s. It's never a bad idea to do push rods. Never a bad idea to do V-high valve springs.
But you don't have to.
But you don't have to, for the most part. Somebody's going to have an issue with it. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really that spot where you can get away without doing it. You know, you get the people that are like, well, I want it to be super reliable. I want to be sure about it. And then you can do those things, but you don't absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Almost everybody's going to be fine at that level. And then, I mean, it's not that much bigger of an injector, you know, going from a 205/80 to a 250/100. But I'll tell you what, it really seems to need those things at that point.
Oh yeah. Yeah. People should not be like me and stick 300/300s in without head studs or anything. It doesn't work out.
Yeah, that's definitely asking for it.
Yeah.
And you can't be too mad to be able to get away with that with 205/80s and be able to push, you know, 475 rear wheel horsepower, be able to tow really well, and just have a real nice usable truck, real good usable 475 rear wheel horsepower. I mean, that's an all around nice setup, and most people are really happy with that. But lately, most people aren't happy with that. Lately, everybody wants more.
Yep.
And they're actually making more. They're actually going through with it. Where a couple years ago, people would say, "I want to make 600 horsepower," and you tell them what it would cost, and they said, "Well, what can I do for 10 grand?" And it changes everything. And they go with a lot smaller of a setup. And now, and I think a lot of it has to do with they've already been running something else for a while. They've already been running a smaller setup. They've had their truck for a while. They've done some injectors, some fuel systems, some things like that, and now they want to go bigger. And I'm seeing a ton of people go bigger lately.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody wants to go big, pretty much goes to you, and all the guys that want to go small go to us. It's perfect.
Yeah, it works out. It's works out for everybody.
So let's break past 550. Actually, we'll probably cover, like you mentioned, transmissions. I know, you know, we pretty much are in agreement. Samwise is a great choice. BTS is a great choice. Warren Diesel, we've used quite a lot of theirs. They're a great choice. If you're in Alaska, you can have Robert build one with us.
Yep.
If you're, we've used quite a few diesel site transmissions too, like not on big builds, but we've done them on, you know, 450, 500 horsepower builds, quite a lot of them. I've been really happy with them too. Have you ever dealt with twisted diesel?
You know, I haven't. For a while you'd hear their name a bit, and then
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really heard of them too much lately. Not a lot of people have been using them, or at least they're doing it quietly.
Mm-hmm.
They've never had a horrible name, so
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any experience with them either. I've seen the name thrown out there, several times, and I know at one point at least they seemed to be kind of popular with 4Rs, and I didn't know much about them.
yeah.
But it's good to stay with a safe bet anyway. I mean, it's other than the wait time, it's BTS or Samwise.
Yep.
You just
Yeah,
can't go wrong. Like that's
yeah,
the good thing.
you're golden with either one of them, no matter what. Even if there is an issue, with which very rarely there is,
Mm-hmm.
they stand behind their product, and that goes a long way. Plus, both Sam and Brian are both really good guys, and
Yep.
And that's hard to find these days. Good people with good products. It's hard not to go that way.
Yeah. Clutches. Do you guys use Valere or do you stick with South Bend or both?
We've always done South Bend.
Mm-hmm.
It was really just that's what we used when we started.
Yep.
And we've just had super good luck with them. So that's always what we've done. We're really big on only using products that we've personally tested
Mm-hmm.
and run on trucks and have had around for years, and they're extremely proven by us.
Yep.
Now I know a lot of people have had good luck with a lot of different things, but I could just never sell people things just to sell them.
Yep.
I really have to use them myself and run them on my own things, or at least a close customer that that I know I can work with, and they're willing to try something out. Just nobody, somebody that I'd never talked to before coming in. I just can't say this one will work for you, and
Yeah.
I've never used it before, and I'm just trying to make money off of them. That's not how I'm going to do it. I want somebody to have something that's going to work for them, and something that people are going to stand behind.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the same boat with that. In South Bend, just never had a reason not to. They've just been awesome. I mean, as long as you choose the right product for the application, they're awesome. And the company too. I mean, I don't know about you guys. For the most part, we don't order our parts through South Bend. We usually use distributors. But even in that case, like, it doesn't matter what it is, you can always call them and talk to somebody who actually knows something and get something fixed if there's a problem. Like, they're on top of it. So
yeah, absolutely. We've had random issues with clutches before, and I want to say that it was just like got the wrong clutch, or
mm-hmm.
Somebody else bought the wrong one and brought it in, something like that, and they would just handle it, and they would set out the right one, and would just handle everything, and just say, we even had one where the box was destroyed. It looks like it was on the bottom shelf somewhere and got rained on or something, and they said, just get it all into a box and let us know when it's ready. We'll send you a shipping tag. Like, they just handle everything, and super good customer support. They just really seem to care, instead of just nickel and diming you on everything. So I was pretty happy with both their product, their customer service, everything all the way around.
Yeah, the few issues we've had, or a few times we've had issues with them too. Like, they've like scheduled pickups and everything. Like, they just handle like every bit of it.
Yeah,
it's hard to find that kind of service anywhere. And I'm not saying anything bad about Valere. I just don't have experience with them. We just
and I really don't either. I know a couple of people have had good luck with them for sure.
Yeah,
but I just haven't myself, and I don't know about their customer service either.
Yeah. For 550 horsepower, dual disc. Do you just use like the regular dual disc? Organic? Use organic ceramic?
Yeah, I just use the ceramic 650 horse dual disc.
Yeah.
Really, like anytime, I want to say anytime above like 425 horse, 450 horse. If somebody's going to be a little bit aggressive with the truck or anything like that, we usually go with
Mm-hmm.
that 650 horse dual disc. We've run it on trucks, with that 450 horsepower range,
Yep.
and it does fantastic with that. And
They're super smooth. Yeah.
yeah, I really don't think there's too much better of a clutch out there than that particular clutch. It just seems to work real nice and gauge really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much anytime we're going for a dual disc, I don't even think we have, because they have the full organic, like the one they rate at 550 horsepower, and then the same kit with the organic ceramic buttons.
Yep.
The 650. I don't even think we
Mm-hmm.
have the 550 one listed. I think we just have the 650 because I've driven quite a few of both, and they pretty much drive the same. Like they drive great.
Yeah.
They're the same price, and the 650 holds up great. So
yeah, absolutely.
So, and actually we've had, the 650 kit hold every bit, if not more than that, for years. Like I think they're a little underrated for what they actually can handle. So past 550, what's next? So we got 250, 200s, S4 67, obviously the fuel system, the head studs, valve springs, all that stuff. How do we get to 650?
So after that, I like to go straight to 350, 200,
Mm-hmm.
And just max out those 200% nozzles with it. You can still run that 467.7. That's especially if you're still going to tow. If you still want to tow very, very well, everything will work exactly the same as 250 200s until you put her all the way up and give her the sauce.
Yep.
And it still works. You can't tell the difference between 250 200s and 350 200s on a tow tune or a daily driver.
Yep.
They still feel the same way. That race tune sure wakes it up though.
Yep. And the
super
same
good setup there.
It's basically the same. I mean, most of the build is identical except the unreliability part if you have a stock bottom end, right?
Exactly. Which is a really nice setup. I've ran the 350 200s and a 467.7 for years, and I towed a bunch. Daily drove a ton, drove long distances. Just had super good luck with it. I've always had a built engine. Anytime I ran 350 200s, I've never put that large of an injector in a customer's truck that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I've sold some injectors and they've done it, but I've never put that large of an injector in a customer's truck unless it had rods and a girdle. But we have done that setup in house several times, and it's done really well. Super good drivability as long as you're not putting it in a truck that has too big of tires with stock gears.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. Once you do that, you're gonna have some lagging issues, some black smoke issues on smaller tunes, things like that.
Yeah.
Just had an OBS before with 37. It was a nice big crew cab long bed OBS, and it had the stock 355 gears, and she was a bit lazy down low. And it took a little extra to get that turbo to light. You'd be driving around on the street and she could fall under that turbo. It just wasn't the perfect setup.
Tires have a
like
huge impact on
absolutely.
drivability.
I really don't like to go, above 350 or 35 with stock gearing. Seems like, if you've got a Super Duty with 373s and 35, you're pretty safe there. OBS is a little more questionable at the 35. Once you hit 37s on anything, if you've still got stock gears, it's just not going to be real happy. Oh, I'm sure a lot of people are still okay with it just because they haven't seen it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
But not a big fan of the way that does it. Once you get the right gearing in there, it's a game changer. It works super, super good. Toe's super nice. Just nothing really to complain about when you've got it set up right.
Yeah. I think gears and tire size are probably the most overlooked piece of any build, whether it's a small like towing build or you're trying to make a lot of power. I think it's just not sexy to buy gears like it is to buy turbos and injectors, and so nobody wants to do it.
Absolutely. And I've definitely been disappointed in customers' trucks with any truck too. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 7.3, but 6-liter, 6.4, 6.7, Cummins, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely put some really nice setups in trucks before, really nice injector turbo combos, and have seen them in trucks with reasonable tire to gear ratio setup, and they did amazing, and they were just lacking a little bit. And you always get from the customers, oh yeah, I'm going to do that next, I'm going to put gears in it next.
Yep.
And you just really don't see them doing that often, and I don't think they realize how big of a performance loss that they've got.
Yeah.
Just from that improper gear ratio. It really makes a nice driver when you got it set up right.
What do you guys use for fuel systems? I guess anything like past like 500.
Yeah, we really like irate fuel systems. I really like their Fuel Lab pumps in their irate systems.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite way to go. Those Fuel Lab pumps are super reliable.
Really?
I've had super good luck with the Fuel Lab pumps. I haven't had any failures at all. We've done them in a ton of trucks. And I use them on the 7.3s, and we do a lot of them on the 6-liters also. 6-liters will take that Fuel Lab pump all the way up to the 330 150s, and then we'll even go to the 4.1 402 once we go to 430 150s. So we've got a lot of those in those trucks too, and I haven't had any failures with those pumps in any of those trucks at all.
That's always been my problem with I like irate systems. I think like they're probably one of like the cleanest simple kits. I mean, they're great kits, but like on their smaller setups, like I have a hard time justifying the cost of a Fuel Lab pump if you are trying to make 400 horsepower, 450 horsepower or something. You're just enough, even like a 205/80, you're just enough to barely need a fuel pump anyway, an upgraded fuel pump.
Right.
And
right.
They're so expensive. And I had heard I've never used the Fuel Lab pumps on irate systems, or maybe only one of them outside of that. And I had heard enough of people having problems with them that I kind of questioned whether it was reliable or not, but I just don't have experience with them, so I had a hard time with that. But the Walbro pumps, those things are garbage, and like that's the best way I can put it. They're just horrible.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them, and every time I go to sell one of the irate fuel systems, I definitely push customers towards the Fuel Lab pump
Mm-hmm.
over the Walboro, and more so for reliability.
Mm-hmm.
And the other reason that I like to do it is if they get the Walboro set up with with everything else, they're gonna have to make some changes to that fuel system, even fuel line size, if they ever go bigger in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that if they get this exact setup with the Fuel Lab pump, they can run absolutely any size injector ever on their 7.3, and they never have to touch the fuel system in any way ever again. And that's really nice, and a lot of people go for it
Yeah.
when it's both for reliability and for upgradability, and they're set. They never have to touch it again, and most people end up going for it that way.
Yep.
I'd prefer to not even sell the Walboro pumps. I have sold them. I will sell them, but I do disclaimer on every one of them that if you don't do some kind of sump or draw straw, you will absolutely burn the pump up no matter what.
Yep.
And even if you do it, that pump may burn out too. And I have not had amazing luck with them, even though it was the good draw. The draw to them is they're extremely inexpensive.
Yeah.
You can get the fuel system at a great cost, and if it fails, you can throw another one in for $100, and no big deal. But nobody's going to want to be broken down on the side of the road because that pump just didn't work. And usually, what I've noticed is that pump will work just fine, and then you'll shut the truck off, and it just won't work again. Is
Yep.
what I normally see happen with those pumps.
Yep.
I know they did try a different type of pump, and
Yeah. The
I believe
Dashwork
it was
pumps.
it was like that German pump, and those did not do very well, and they quit doing those pumps and they went back to Walboro again.
Yeah.
Just not happy with them. I don't love that pump at all, and the Fuel Labs I've had super good luck. You have to either do a stump or a draw straw on a Fuel Lab pump. You have to use um, the right filters. It's a big pump.
Yep.
It's a big pump, and I really like using that pump because it's a little bit loud. Um, Whenever I get into somebody's truck that doesn't have one, for a half a second, whenever I go to start the truck up, I don't hear the pump in their
You're just
truck.
wondering if it's
They've
actually
got
working.
a stock one. I'm like, oh, the pump's not working, and I'm like, oh wait, it's just a stock truck.
Yep.
And I like to hear the pump. Once the truck starts, you never hear the pump again. Our trucks are loud enough where it drowns the pump out. But I do like to know that pump's working before I start the truck. That's always been nice. And I personally, feel like a badass that when I turn that key to accessory and you can hear my fuel pump come up, it just
It's fast
does
before
power.
you even start it. Yeah.
Yeah, it you can hear the power, before it's even running. So I've always liked those, and that's what I push more than anything. And I would say 9 out of 10 of the irate fuel systems that I sell end up going out with that Fuel Lab pump, and I don't ever hear a problem back from them.
Yeah, that's actually good to hear. Like I said, I have hesitated to recommend them just because I was kind of unsure on their reliability from just stuff I had heard. Doesn't really mean much, and I never was in the position to run enough of them on personal trucks or, like I say, close friends or whatever to be able to say. So I trust your input. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not a lot of other pumps out there that I really trust in trucks. the old Aeromotive A1000s did well, and they just are not doing well in these trucks anymore, and they don't warranty them anymore with diesel.
Yeah.
And Fuel Lab's super good with their warranties on their pumps. In fact, they've been known to warranty the pumps even after they're out of warranty.
Mm.
There's no guarantee that they're going to do that. But they've been really good at taking care of their pumps no matter what. They're very proud of their pumps, and they're super good about it. So even if it's been out of warranty for years, you've had it for 10 years, doesn't hurt to send Fuel Lab a message or a call and let them know that your pump failed and see what they say. They might send you another one.
Yeah. Well, that's really good to know. Have you had experience with, have you guys used a lot of forced inductions turbos on the 7.3s?
Yeah. We use a lot of forced induction turbos on 7.3s and other trucks.
Mm-hmm.
We do really like their turbos. If somebody's looking to go a little bit extra, and they want to make some extra power over 467.7, a lot of the times what we'll do is we'll get a forced induction 472.
Mm-hmm.
We really like those with 350-200s. If you're looking to make a little bit extra, try pushing it a little closer to 700 or just a tad over 700. And then once you get to 400 400s or larger, we've had super good luck with forced induction 476s. Those have done fantastic up there. I've got a few customers that drive their 400 400 with a FI 476 trucks on the street, even some real light towing, and
that sounds miserable to me.
It's not perfect by any means, but they can drive these things around on the street no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the turbo comes up nice, and it works fine. It's by no means the fastest spooling, most street friendly setup out there, but I've got plenty of people that that drive them around and are happy with them, and they're nice.
We went from
you played with turbos, haven't you?
Yeah, Roberts Dooley, he went from just a box, a Borg Warner 467. And then I think he put just a Borg Warner, S476 87 in it, and that's just awful. It's unnecessary and awful for 200%. But we were playing around with it, and then we stuck. I think we ended up getting it from you actually. We stuck a forced inductions 72 with an 83 millimeter turbine in it, and I think a 1.0 housing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that turbo is awesome. Like it drives every bit as nice as a S467 did. And granted,
absolutely.
His truck is, it's a big, heavy dually, and that, weight does kind of help a lot with that. But at least it doesn't affect the responsiveness as much when it takes so long to get going anyway. And that turbo is great. I mean, it definitely runs cooler. I mean, it tows strangely good. I'll put it that way. Like, it's as long as you can get around, like, not just driving it like it's a sports car, because it's not responsive like that. Get up on top of the turbo and like it's a beast. It is a really nice driving setup.
Yeah, they do really good work with their turbos, and it's just everything they've made for us has been quality.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten to play with a lot of their different turbos and in a lot of different trucks. A lot of compound setups too. We've used their 480s on some trucks. We've used their 491s. We've used GT55s, all sorts of stuff. They've just got beautiful turbos. You're going to pay for them for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, and with any higher end turbo, I mean, it's going to cost more than just a box 480 board turbo. You can get those pretty cheap, and if you want a real nice forced induction turbo, you're going to pay custom turbo pricing for it, but you're going to get custom turbo quality too.
Yeah. So when you get past like the 650-ish horsepower range, like where you can get with an S467, is that pretty much what you go to? Is you jump up into custom turbos after that?
Yeah, that's absolutely what we go to, and they'll make the turbo exactly the way you want it to be. So if you want a 83 wheel, an 87 wheel, a 92 wheel, a 93 wheel, it doesn't matter what wheel you want to go with. They'll put that in the turbo for you, and they'll custom make that to run the way you want it to. If you're looking to build a daily driver, or you're looking to build a straight race truck, you can really custom build that turbo to work for exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or even if you're putting it in a compound setup, and you want to if you're just putting box turbos in a compound setup, they'll be all right, but there's so much that you can do to tweak that setup and to custom tailor it to work the way you want it to. It's really the only way to go, and it's not a tremendous amount of money, compared to what you're putting into everything else, just to have that turbo set up just right to work perfectly.
Yeah. So I got a couple more things I want to cover, and we only got about 10 minutes left here. Where do you draw the line on a 7.3 before you say, I would not do this build. I would not put those injectors in that turbo in it without a built engine. Absolutely, there's no question. Just don't do it. Is that it? The
250, yeah, 250 200s are the largest that I like to go without having a built engine. I know you can do it, and I know you can pull some power from it. Mm-hmm. and all of that, but I always tell them that if you go larger than 250 200s, you're gonna break it. It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll put them in if you want to risk it. We've done we've put more power at a truck before, knowing that something was eventually going to break. Yeah. We just make damn sure that the customer is good with it, and that they sign off on it, and they say, yep, let's just run it. When it breaks, we'll do a built engine then. We totally get that it's gonna wreck some stuff, but let's do it anyways. And if they really want to do it, we will. But that's where I like to draw the line.
Yeah. And it's just so hard to know. I mean, again, Robert's truck is the craziest truck. This thing, I mean, it's got 3 2s and the 472 in it, and 467, all that, for years, and gets driven every day, tows like crazy all the time, and it's a stock bottom end, and it just will not blow up. It's been sprayed over and over and over again, and it's a freak. And then you've got we've got lots of guys too where 100% nozzles and a 366 that'll huck a rod, even on Ford's rods, not even PMRs. And so there's just a point where you're just gambling, really.
You are definitely gambling, and some people are good with gambling, and some people are not. And it may last 15 years like that, or it may last 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. You never know, especially once you get to that level. I haven't had any customers huck a rod with 205/80s or anything less.
I have on PMRs.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
I have not. I I've not had anybody have any issues. Um, yes, it can happen. I've had other people say so, but once you get to the 250 100s, it you hear it happening a lot more.
Yeah.
I've had 250 100s and then S369 in a customer's truck caused some problems before for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But never anything lower than that. Everything seemed to be pretty good, but I mean, you can have issues with a totally stock truck of eventually letting go.
Yeah.
So once you start putting power to it, it can definitely accelerate that. You've had a couple customers have issues with like 205 in a PMR.
Yeah, I can think of two of them. One of them was actually a truck up here, and it was like the perfect truck. I mean, this thing was gorgeous. It had like no miles on it. I think it had like 20 or 30,000 miles on it. The guy paid a lot of money for it. Beautiful white Lariat. It had like 400 and 440, 450 psi of compression on all cylinders. Just it ran so smooth and so good. Just an absolute perfect truck. Super clean. I mean, cold starts with 205/80s in it. Cold starts in the winter, like doesn't even smoke. Like it's just runs better than most stock trucks. Right. Super smooth, just beautiful. And he probably put maybe 1,500 miles on that setup and hooked a rod. And,
wow, that was quick.
Yeah, and I think it was probably just a freak thing, like we would see it more if it wasn't. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then just another guy down in the States, pretty much the same setup. I think he had a 364.5 and 205/80s too, and put maybe 20, 30,000 miles on it, and it hooked a rod too. So it definitely can happen. And I love, a lot of guys ask us, they're like, well, what's the chance of it? It's like, you can't calculate that. It just can't happen,
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty low chance, and that's kind of what I tell them. They're like, so I guaranteed I won't break it. I said, you could break it pulling out of your driveway completely stock. It can happen.
Yep.
I always tell people that the furthest I would go on a PMR is 205/80s. I would not suggest going any further than that unless you're looking to break it. And then that's kind of my go-to setup on everything for somebody saying, well, how far can I really go on a truck without breaking it now? And I probably won't break it. Really, really good chances I won't. And that's that 205/80. And then when people like to gamble a little bit, I start kicking it up.
Yeah, I still say that's a 160/30.
Yeah.
If you just don't want it to break.
Yeah, if you just want to make for sure no matter what, that's about the spot to be. Yeah, you really can't hurt these with that. If something breaks with that, it's not from the power.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. I say that a lot.
Super safe setups. That's where most people end up. It seems like is a lot of like 175/30s. Maybe a T4 kit with a 364.5.
That's just like unstoppably safe. Yeah.
Yeah, they a lot of people don't want to do a fuel system. They don't want to do a whole lot. They just the truck just needs some more. They need some more power. They have to have some more power. They need new injectors anyways. So they go with a setup like that. And then if they're looking for a real good tow setup, but they want that extra too. Yep. They're okay with doing some fuel system mods, then it's 205/80 time. And we've had a lot of 205/80s. Quite a few. A lot more people. Kind of the new 175/30 setup is a 205/80.
Yeah.
So a lot more people are giving into that. I've noticed over the last solid year they've been pushing towards that, and A lot of the time I expect to sell somebody 175/30s, and they end up wanting to go with the 205. So it's nice to see that. That's the 475 horsepower range. Still pretty safe,
Mm-hmm.
able to have some good power. I mean, that's enough power for what most people do. But it is really good to see a lot more people pushing past that. More than I expected to see.
Yeah.
We didn't see people pushing past it very often a couple years ago. Usually it was people saying they want to make that power, and then they hear the numbers and they back off, and now they're just not backing off.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I expected when everything changed 2 years ago, year and a half ago with the world,
Yeah,
that like people would stop spending as much money on toys, and that definitely hasn't happened. It definitely hasn't happened.
Nope, it has not.
Like guys are just
It is not
ready to go out and build cool stuff. I have one more question. I know I said that last time. Engine builds. We've struggled. I think we mentioned this like probably last year when we talked about 7.3s before. Engine builders for built engines. Like I just don't have anyone to recommend. And like we're not down in the States, obviously we're way away from everybody. So, if somebody comes to us and they actually want to do a big build, then we'll just do the work. We'll do the build. But what do you guys do down there? I mean, do you build your own engines? Just send the machine work out? Or is there another shop that you recommend sending somebody to get a built engine?
Yeah, we build our own. I've heard good things from a couple other places.
Mm-hmm.
We like building them. We've definitely had lately a not able to get Carrillo rods, so that has definitely stopped a lot of builds for us.
Have you guys used Crower rods?
I have used Crowers, and I've had good luck with those. I have not used Brian Crower rods.
I'm sorry. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I've used the old school Crowers that they used to make that they don't make anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The Brian Crowers I have not used. I've heard a couple people have had good luck with them. I just have not had experience with them.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say, okay, we're going to put these rods in a truck and make, 800 to 1,300 horsepower. And
when something else works.
Yeah, and hope these are okay when Carrillos are going to work.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a problem with Carrillo rods. If you have an engine failure, it's not those rods that cause it. Those are the most used rods in not only 7.3s but damn near everything else out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they've just stood up to the test of time and never flinched. So
yeah.
It's really hard to go with anything other than that. And when it's just like, oh, well, we can't get those right now, so let's use these instead. I really don't feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know other people do feel comfortable with it. Or at least they do it anyways. But that's not something I feel comfortable with, and I want to stick with what I know for a fact works and will continue to work for a long time.
Yeah. Do you guys do engine builds for people that you're not like installing it and doing the rest of the work? Like, will you build and sell an engine, or do you try to keep everything in house if you're going to do it?
We will build an engine. It must be a long block. We will not sell short blocks.
Mm-hmm.
It leaves too much human error in it to send out a short block, and then they've got to do everything else, and I just don't like doing it. I'd prefer for us to do as complete of an engine as possible.
Yeah.
if we can do, the entire thing and ship it out, where all you've got to do when you get it is, just pop the turbo off the T4 pedestal and, where we just kind of snug it up by hand and ship it that way.
Yeah.
You can just pop that turbo off and then you can drop the engine in.
Don't even have to take the valve covers off.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to touch any of that. And then you just put the turbo back on. You're only taking the turbo off just to be able to, fit it in the engine bay. That's the way we would prefer to do it. We also like to repaint everything that we do and just do a real nice job on it, or even powder coat everything. We've got no problem handling things like that and having the valve covers powder coated, all the brackets on the front of the engine powder coated or painted, whatever, whichever way you go, and just really finish the engine off and make it look really nice instead of, just sending out a long block and then everything you bolt to, it's, not amazing, but, we will do long blocks and send them out. We send out, quite a few 7.3s that, have larger injectors, T4 kit, I-rate fuel system, all that kind of stuff already on the truck with a hydro, with tunes, the whole deal. So we've got people taking completely bone stock trucks and basically, doing build in a box. The whole thing gets sent to them or, a local shop near them with everything that they need to do the whole build. Every single piece. I mean, we even send out motorcraft sensors. We'll even put the sensors on the engine. We'll send out TA31 sealant for people. The whole deal. We don't mind, getting every little extra on there for them, so they don't have to go anywhere for anything. That's we do it in house, so we know exactly what it takes to put these in. So if we can send out a couple of little extras with it to make it where they don't have to source anything anywhere else, it makes it really nice.
Yeah.
We do the same thing for 6 liters, 6.4s, all sorts of stuff. But more 7.3s than anything by far.
Well, that's awesome. We got to cut this off here, but if you guys are interested in learning more about Night Shift Diesel, where do people contact you?
You can get a hold of us. You can call us 248-210-5107, and we're there from 9 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday. Also there on Saturday from 10 to 5. You can get a hold of me on Messenger at any time at Mario G. You can get a hold of us on our Facebook page at Night Shift Diesel. We're on Instagram, also Night Shift Diesel. So whichever way is easiest for you, we're always there, and we're here to help.
And if you guys want to learn more about the his Shorty triple turbo 7.3 build, you can go back to episode 3. It is not on YouTube, so if you're watching on YouTube, you're gonna have to jump over to a podcast platform. But episode 3 of the Shop Talk podcast, maybe season 1, was a whole episode talking about his triple turbo 7.3 build. But I appreciate you guys watching. If you liked having Mario on here, let us know. If you didn't, you can let us know that, but it's not going to change it. We'll probably have him back anyway. But thanks for joining us, Mario.
Hey, thanks for having me.